when you get to that point where you're rock bottom, it's hard to know how to move forward.
I was pretty much crawling into the office crying. And he's like,
Yeah.
just buy a skipping rope. I'm begging you to help me, and you tell me to buy a skipping rope?
What made you go immediately to it being a medical issue when you were in the depths of the difficult relationship with the partner?
I had a lot of influences from him saying that I was crazy. There's something wrong with you. It's obviously something that you need to get fixed. I was so manipulated. Their words made me feel there was something wrong with me.
You talked about one of the most important first steps is for people to find their trauma source. What advice do you have for people who are maybe in a situation where they might not even understand what's really affecting them, but there is something that's off?
If you don't know, then it's for sure a memory block because of your survival mode. But I also believe that people should seek support in finding that source. Like,
there are healers on this planet with the power to soften the suffering of mankind, yet they have remained in the recesses of the world, abused, discarded, and labeled as trash. This is The Touch of a Mustang. I am your host, Shalise Clough, and I'm here to tell the story of wild horses, Mustangs, and the humans who are discovering and sharing their gifts while working to protect their well-being and preserve their spirit so this divine power won't be lost. Join us on this quest with the Wild Mustang.
Hailey, thank you so much for being here on the Touch of the Mustang podcast.
thank you. I'm excited to have a chat today.
I am really excited to talk with you about your journey and the healing that you have done and how that has changed your life and the work you do. So to start with, can you do a quick introduction for our audience? Tell them who you are, a little bit about what you do.
Absolutely. My name is Hailey Coleman. I'm from Canada. I coach and run my own business in terms of holistic healing. I specialize in nervous system support. And yeah, it's all based on lived trauma and then getting the education behind it so that I can help other people who have gone through similar traumas. That's why I'm here today. And I just want to share my story and hope that I can touch other people.
Beautiful. So where would you say that your story starts?
I would say it was when my kids were younger. I had a partner who is a psychopath, actually. Didn't know at the time. It was kind of like a situation where they wear a mask. They were a pathological liar, narcissist, emotionally abusive, chronic cheater. And I never had anxiety. I was blessed to never have anxiety growing up. I've never struggled with that. But then going through the relationship that I was in, I wasn't listening to my signs and symptoms of my body. And I actually started getting like full blown panic attacks, which was super new to me. This one time was my rock bottom. I was cuddling my 3 kiddos and it was super calm. We were just like on the couch, and all of a sudden I got a full body panic attack out of nowhere. And I just tried to like keep it together, and I just had like a little bit of tears running down my face. But my girls started rubbing my back and singing me the song that I sing to them when they're upset, which is Blackbird by the Beatles. And that was my rock bottom, where I was like, I need to figure this out. Why is my body doing this? What is happening? How can I heal it? Like, I have these 3 beautiful kids staring at me while I have tears running down my face, trying to keep my shit together. How do I fix this?
So after you hit that rock bottom point, what were the next steps that you took? Because a lot of times when you get to that point where you're rock bottom, it's hard to know how to move forward.
Especially when you're in survival mode, right? You don't really think clearly. You kind of are like floating around life. You're just kind of disassociated. I initially thought that it had to do with my period, because it was my panic attacks were amped up just before my period. So I was starting to track. And then I was like, but then panic attacks were kind of happening all month. So I had gone to my doctor and was like exploring, like maybe it's hormonal due to my estrogen and progesterone, whatever. That was not real. So then we explored all of my like blood tests, right? Like we're going through all the things medical. Everything came back normal. Then we had a random doctor come in. He was a spare doctor, and he was like, I want to explain panic attacks to you. And he had this
What kind
really
of doctor did you say he was?
like a spare, like he like we lived in a smaller suburb. So like,
Just like on call or just
yeah, an
extra,
on
not
call.
a
Sorry.
regular? Oh, okay. No,
Yeah.
you're
So it
good. I was
wasn't like, yeah, he was like someone we didn't know. He's not from our town or whatever. And he said, did you know that like interval skipping is the same reaction in your body as a panic attack? And I was like, speak to me. Like, what does this mean? And what am I getting at? So he's like, I want you to like, this is like me like breaking down like 6 months in of like panic attacks every other day, like crying in the doctor's office, help me. And he's like, I want you to go home and I want you to skip for 3 weeks. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, that's your answer?
wait,
And
like
he's
skip, like
skipping like a skip rope,
like you're skipping, like
like
okay,
skipping.
like jump rope.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he was like, buy yourself a skipping rope. And he's like, and I want you to get a logbook. And he's like, you're going to do skipping for 10 minutes a day for 3 weeks. And every time you skip super fast for 30 to 40 seconds. And then time your heart rate and time how long it takes for you to calm your body down to resting state. I was like, okay. So it was like a bit of a challenge. I'm stubborn. So obviously I was like, I'm going to master this. So I buy a skipping rope and I'm like doing the skipping every day. And at first it took me over 2 minutes to like almost 3 minutes to calm my body from skipping like high interval to resting heart rate. By the end of like my journey, it was like 2 to 3 weeks. I got it down to 30, 40 seconds of me being able to calm my body. So then I went like back to him and I was like, here's my logbook. I've been skipping. I've lost like 5 pounds. I feel like feel better. And he's like, okay, so when our body reacts like that and our heart rate all of a sudden gets skyrocket and you start sweating and you are out of breath and all these things happen biologically in your body. He's like, skipping is a positive reaction, but it's the exact same symptoms as a panic attack. That's just a negative reaction. So he's like, if you can train your body like you've just done to calm yourself, then that's muscle like memory. So
Uh-huh.
now, if you have a panic attack, you'll be able to do the same calming techniques because your body now remembers. One was just positive and one was negative. And that like blew me away. And that was the start of like my holistic journey of like, how does our mind and body connect in our nervous system? And how can we naturally control it? Yeah, it was fascinating.
Yeah, what a great doctor. I've never heard of that
Right?
treatment approach. Like what a perfect time for him to be coming to your small town.
Like godsend. He like randomly came in and I was just like pretty much like crawling into the office crying. And he's like,
Yeah.
just buy a skipping rope. I'm like, are you crazy? Like, I'm begging you to help me and you tell me to buy a skipping rope. But
Yeah. Amazing that
pretty
yeah, just
cool.
a physical change like that can make such a huge difference. That is really neat.
Yeah.
What made you go immediately to it being a medical issue when you were in the depths of the difficult relationship with the partner? Because I know a lot of times when you're in those relationships, it's really easy to dismiss things that if you were outside of, you would be like, this is not okay. This is not normal.
Yeah.
I think it happens to a lot of people and it's kind of a gradual thing, I would imagine. So can you talk to us a little bit about that process of maybe, I'm assuming that was a big part of what led to the panic attacks. And if that's the case, what was that process from going from thinking this is a physical thing, everything else is okay, to maybe addressing the real stem of the issue?
I had a lot of influences from him at the time saying that I was crazy. There's something wrong with you. It's obviously like something that you need to get fixed. Making it feel, because I was so manipulated in the moment that their words made me feel like there was something wrong with me without being like, I wasn't really in the holistic world at that time. It was it made more sense to be like, well, obviously there's something medically wrong with me. So I need to explore that. Like, and I'm saying like hooked up to like a heart monitor for 3 days. Well, obviously it's your period. Like maybe you're going crazy. Maybe you have mental health issues. And I was like, the little voice in your head is like, but none of that makes sense. But the person that's manipulating you is saying, this is what I see. Like, obviously, it's a you thing, and it's like classic manipulation, right?
Yeah. And hard to not believe that when you're in a relationship, a close relationship like
Yeah.
that, and it's someone that you believe cares about you, to not believe, like, okay, maybe they're seeing something that I'm not.
Yeah.
So, what was that process to finally realizing, like, this is a different issue? It's not a medical issue. This is something that I need to address in different ways.
I I went about it medically at first, until I met that doctor who taught me about the skipping strategy. And after that, I became kind of obsessed to like explore what else can I control holistically? What else is happening? Can I control my hormones with food and lifestyle? Can I control the way that my heart rate is and my breath work and like my mind? Like, how can I harness that so that I can be my best self for my kids? And I just dove right into it. I think the first thing I just started to do was I learned energy work. I became part of a group and a mastermind. And I learned how to meditate so that I could shut off my conscious brain and really tune into my body and my mind. So I mastered that. That was so helpful. But I paid to be a part of a learning group so I could truly understand how it works and the different strategies on meditation. And then the same, I learned a bunch of energy work and how different movement can really like change the energy in the moment of our body. So it just became a snowball effect of what else can I learn about? What other certificates can I get into and focus on, right?
Starting with meditation and energy work, what were some of the core principles you learned that you really found helpful?
For my meditation, I really learned how to shut off my mind. So I found it an ancient music that I really like my soul, like I got like goosebumps from it. So I was like, I'm going to put this on in the background. And my previous job, I was blessed to be a part of traditional indigenous ceremonies. So I knew how to sage and cleanse and do some prayers and stuff from indigenous healing circles. So I incorporated that into my meditation work. So, yeah, so I would start with like my indigenous healing that I was taught with the saging and a prayer. And then I would just kind of put on my music and just get into like a trance state. My kids were incredible with the process. They would either come and lay on the floor in my room and like do it with me, and I don't think they were meditating, it was more like relaxing. But yeah, I just would allow myself to just shut my mind off. But it takes a lot of practice. It probably took me 6 months plus to like really learn how to like shut off your brain,
I bet.
because the chatter, and then like when the chatter comes back, you're just like, you have to like reset. But that was a turning point for me in terms of learning how to reset my nervous system. And then the energy work, my kids were super interested in like the chakras and the crystals and the stones and all the things. So that was kind of like a family thing that we just like learned about the different healing stones, and like they're still fascinated with it, which is cute.
And then what came after that, after you started incorporating meditation, focusing on energy and how it was impacting you?
My panic attacks stopped like completely. So that was huge data for me that I can control my body. I can
Yeah. And
control my mind.
was this why your partner was still around, or had your
Yep.
environment changed? Okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So it took me a while to leave, to get set up and leave. But I knew that while I was like prepping and setting myself up for a separation, I needed to like heal myself while I was doing that. So that's why like the meditation really, really helped. And yeah, I was, I think, panic attack free for a year leaving that relationship. So that was pretty powerful. And the environment didn't change until I left. And I needed to like delete a lot of people from my life that were connected.
How powerful, though, that you were able to make those changes even in the midst of difficulty. And a lot of times you do need that time to kind of regroup and to change that environment. So it's not always something you can do immediately, but that you were able to change your mental state despite that is really powerful.
Yeah, it was either that or I was gonna keep spiraling with mental health. And I had 3 kids staring at me. So that was my why. Um highly encourage you to find your why. You need to have a why in order to move forward. And my reason was my kids because I didn't want them to watch that. I wanted to be the best version of myself for my children. Um and it was really sad. Like I still like I'd be doing the dishes and I'd have tears running down my face because I'm still struggling, but I know I'm making the next steps to like be better and change the environment for myself and my children.
Yeah, children definitely are a powerful incentive it's almost easier when you know someone else is depending on you than if it was just you that you needed to take
Hmm.
care of. Sometimes it can be easier to justify, like, okay, I need to do this, not
Yeah.
necessarily for yourself, but for your children. And of course, it is important for yourself. It's just hard for a lot of us who take care of other people and care a lot about other people to see that.
Yeah. And if you, even if you don't have children, like, what is your reason? Like, what was your
Yeah.
life goal? What was your next steps that you wanted that brought you joy? Like, if something's holding you back from that kind of lifestyle, like, that's still your why.
Yeah, I agree. It is really important to find your why, to understand that there is a value in healing yourself for the sake of healing and where that might lead, what
Mhm.
you might be able to work towards in doing that.
Yeah, it's so powerful. And once you start, and you see little glimmers of hope, it just kind of keeps going. And so I don't know, I always say to my clients, like, let's start with the source. Where is your source in terms of your traumas, your triggers? And once you know your source, then that's where the healing can really start. Because a lot of people that I work with will come to me and be like, "Oh, I've been in therapy for years and I'm still triggered. I'm still not healing." Or I've tried all these things but I haven't tried actually working on my mind and my body together or my mind, body, soul together. I've only worked on my mind in therapy. Okay, well, what about your gut health? Like our emotions are built in our gut. How's your eating habits? How's your daily habits? Like you can't just only work on your mind and forget about your body and your soul because our soul is soul led in terms of what brings us joy, what brings us pleasure. Is this something that is a purpose for you? So they all work together. And I think a lot of our mainstream medical healing avenues don't put all those together. Like medical, it's like, oh, let's fix your body. Cool, but my mind's broken. Okay, well, here's therapy. Let's fix your mind. Okay, but my body's still broken. Like nothing, like nobody fully works together in our mainstream society. So well, that's the gap that I've noticed here. Yeah.
I agree. And we can't just take pieces of ourselves and expect it to not influence the other areas of your life. Certainly, it needs to be a whole approach to the whole body, which is interesting that we don't practice that way because it's definitely there in theory. A lot of
Hmm.
different approaches say that, yes, biology is associated with your psychology, your mind, and your thinking, and that's associated with your environment and the social areas that you are in. But we a lot of times pull it apart and be like, okay, well, just fix this ache and pain or just fix this way I'm thinking. So, talk a little bit more about how you went from this being your personal journey of healing and discovering this different things into the work that you do now.
Well, to be honest, I started doing some intuitive work for free just to see like how I would feel if I want to actually like move forward as a healing coach because I don't take it lightly. Like I'm like working with people's lives and so I really wanted to like hone in on my skills and my gifts before I put it out there to the world. And I really wanted to get some like science and education under my belt too. So like, yes, I have lived experience and had a bunch of clients before I started my business, but in that process, um, I went to school to learn cognitive behavioral therapy. I went to school to learn how to do holistic life coaching, ancient breath work, addictions, and because I want to understand the mind a bit more in terms of like if we're fixated on things, and really dove into gut health journey with my natural path. And so I wanted to like get all that together before I truly coached others, because I really wanted to master the mind body soul connection, but I wanted to have like the education behind it so I could say like, yeah, I am I do know my stuff. It's not just a lived experience. Yeah, and then I just started putting it out there. It was super weird. I just started talking about it, like, are you struggling with this? Do you need support with this? Like on social media. And within the first year I had over 50 clients, and now like I'm in year 3, and I just left corporate less than a month ago. And so I wasn't pouring into this full time. And I have over 150 clients from around the world. So I'm excited to expand even further. And that's why I'm taking the leap and going on podcasts now, because I want to share my voice and my gift to the masses. I think everyone has a journey, and it's so important to hear like how somebody else similar to you went through that but got through it in a different capacity. And that helped me on my journey too, like listening to other women who have struggled but maybe didn't make it out, are still struggling, but like, and so my curious brain is, well, why are you still struggling? What didn't you do? Or what have you done so far and still need to do? Like, I'm just curious. So yeah, I'm excited to expand now that I'm not in corporate. I don't know if anyone else can relate, but sometimes corporate just like bogs you down at a soul level. So scary to leave corporate, but I'm here for it. Like, I'm just excited.
Yeah. No, I've talked to lots of people who were in corporate and now they're just
Yeah.
living completely, totally different lives.
Yeah, it's got to be soul led. And I promised myself that the moment I left corporate, I was going to do every decision with the ask of, does this bring me pleasure or does this give me pressure? And so I've been trying to live by that for the last little while. And yeah, so every decision moving forward, I've pleasure or pressure.
How has that changed your decision-making process to focus on pleasure instead of pressure? And in that, a lot of times our decisions are kind of made on this belief that it's what's needed for survival.
Mm-hmm.
Corporate obviously is a good source of income.
Yeah.
How has that changed your trajectory and the way you make decisions?
I feel like every day is a new day, and I can decide what I'm doing that day based on my energy. And it feels so amazing to be able to say, you know what, I'm gonna go to the gym today and I'm just gonna like go for a walk and I'm gonna pour into this later. And it's just like so soul led. I've never been able to do that in my life because I had kids so young that I was always like, have to work corporate. I have to get this. I have to work 9 to 5. I have to support my kids. And now I'm in a position where I have opportunities to do soul led work and profit. And it's just a beautiful feeling. And I feel so blessed and grateful. But yeah, it took a few tears and a leap of faith for sure.
Yeah. Going back a little bit, you talked about that you think one of the most important first steps is for people to find their trauma source. What advice or direction do you have for people who are maybe in a situation where they might not even understand what's really affecting them, but there is something that's off, whether that's a physical issue that's presenting itself or emotional issues that they aren't necessarily able to pinpoint where it's coming from, maybe because, like you, they were in the thick of it and it's hard to
Uh-huh.
see what is affecting you in that way? What can people do to identify that? What's the best starting place for them to move from?
I always say, like, if you haven't been able to find the source yet, like sometimes it's from childhood, right? So it's hard to determine what exactly the source was because our trauma, like our brains naturally shut stuff out if it's trauma as a survival technique. So I've had a lot of clients come to me and say, I get triggered from this, this, and this. It causes me to have these symptoms, and I don't know why. So then I use my intuitive gift to go back and work with them to figure out what happened in their childhood. What does that look like? Sorting out people, places, things, scenarios that happened as a child, and work with them to figure out that time frame. If you don't know, then it's for sure a memory block because of your survival mode. But I also believe that people should seek support in finding that source. Like if you can't naturally find it, you're always going to be triggered. You're never going to be fully healed because things are going to pop up throughout your life, and you could be fine for like 10 years and then something happens. Like trauma is such a weird thing. And so I highly recommend working with someone at least to find the source, and then working through it. But I've had like everyone's unique. Everyone's nervous system is unique. Everyone's experience is unique. So I don't have like a one like statement. But people have different symptoms. So your physical symptoms could be gut health related. So you're having like acid reflux, or like lots of bloating or weight gain, hair loss, cavities because you're being depleted because your gut health is off. Like there's so many different things, cardiac stuff. So maybe you're getting heart palpitations or irregular heart rate, or like flashes where you just get like dizzy or out of breath, sweaty. There's so many things, right? Like
Yeah.
some people get disassociated and they like can't feel their limbs, or they get like tingly limbs. Another one that's not physical is I have some clients that like apologize for everything, like almost in like the same, like every sentence, like, oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm like, what are you sorry for?
Something I have to watch.
That's a trauma response. That's a response that you were learned behaviorally to make up for something, or if you're lacking in like insecurities due to something, like you're going to like want to apologize for something. Or like shutting down. Your brain shuts down so you can't form sentences. Memory loss, that's a big one. Short, like where you're just like, well, I remember the details 5 years ago, but like can't remember what I did an hour ago or where I put that thing. So there's
Mhm.
so many things.
Uh-huh.
And I always say to my clients, once you find the source, the next step is to figure out how you felt physically, mentally, when you were living your best life. So when was that? How many years ago was that? How did you feel? Compare that to now. And now you're having more headaches. Now you're sleepless nights. Now you eat stuff and your gut's instantly off. Now, you know what I mean? Like compare to when you felt your best, and those are your symptoms of your nervous system. And it's so fascinating to hear my clients speak about the comparison once we actually figure it out. And once they know and they're aware, then once those symptoms come up again, they're like, oh, I can implement this strategy right now because obviously I'm stressed and I didn't realize, because our body tells us first.
Yeah, and the childhood piece is such a tricky one because as children, that's the reality we grow up in. So even if there is abnormal things, or even just things that maybe aren't clear-cut trauma, not physical abuse, just things that we learn that maybe you're supposed to, apologize all the time. You're supposed to make yourself
Mhm.
small. You're not supposed to cause issues. That's the norm that we know. Like that's the baseline foundation for what we've built our life on. So that's a really tricky one to go back and kind of see like where are those abnormalities? Where is maybe something that has caused me to react in the way that I am now?
And yeah, it's interesting because, like maybe your parents or guardians didn't allow you to have a voice, or maybe you were told that you were too much. And learning all this, like I would try to implement it with my own kids. Like my middle one is wears her heart on her sleeve. She's so extra and it's hilarious. And like her siblings always say, like, you're so dramatic or you're so this. And then she gets upset. And like, so I always say to her, like, that's your gift. One day you're going to be able to use that. And like, yes, You do have a lot of dramatic tendencies, but think about like how you can use that as a gift. And that's like your superpower. And you just see her like light up. And I wish that was said to like us as kids, right? Instead of like if making us feel certain ways, like why can't we use that as adults and parents to harness that for our children and say, that's your gift, that's your superpower. And use that to help people or use that to help yourself. Or, like my oldest, she's so headstrong and so like powerful, but like bold in her words. So how do you use that? Like, how do you need to like find a career where you can have that loud voice in terms of maybe you need to be an advocate for somebody? Find that gift. And because as kids growing up now as adults, we're finding all the things wrong with us. And it shows up in relationships with our partners, our friends, our family. And it doesn't have to be like abuse or harm in any way. It could just be the way that they made us feel. As a parent now, knowing all this, like I highly encourage other parents to learn to speak to our kids in a way that they have superpowers and try to allow them to harness that, because when they turn into adults, I don't want my kids to be in therapy for years because mom said that you're too much. So now you have to be small. So like I say stuff like to my middle one, if they can't handle you, they're not for you, right? Like imagine if you had that growing up to say like, no, that is your voice. Just learn how to use it. Or it's okay to apologize, but learn when, because you've done nothing wrong. But there's a lot, I feel like our generation parents are coming off of a parent generation that was just not like our grandparents. Like it's just so different of how they parented the kids. So it's all a product of our environment. But
Yeah, and I love that framing that you can look at those things as a gift, because one thing I found is that all those gifts that we're kind of talking about can also be seen as weaknesses, whether
Mhm.
that's someone being quiet, stop being so shy. Every single one of those can go either way. And
Yeah.
so for our kids, for ourselves, if we can really lean into those differences that we have, those things that maybe hit us a little harder, we stand out for, or we're maybe self-conscious about,
Mhm.
a lot of times, those are the things that we can utilize if we can learn how to
Yeah.
turn it into it from a weakness, or what people might term a weakness, into a gift. And like you shared with your kids, it can be a sibling, it can be someone at school that said something that we just
Mhm.
carry with us, and we kind of
Yeah.
don't feel great about our whole life because someone said this one time and it hit us. We probably knew there was some truth to it, but if we can reframe that and realize, this is something that I can turn into something that's really good for my life and for the people around me. I like that framing a lot that you shared.
Yeah. Sometimes siblings are ruthless. Like, let's be honest. Like watching my kids some days when they're just all in a mood, I'm like, you guys are awful to each other. Like, you guys are literally making yourselves feel so sad. Like, what?
It's always good to hear that, yeah, that this is kind of a typical experience, because sometimes I think, where did you guys learn this? Like, I've
Yeah.
never modeled this behavior for you. But yeah, it's just that world of learning and growing, I guess, but it can be
Yeah.
intense even there, absolutely.
Yeah, like even yesterday morning, like trying to get all three out of the door on time for school, like they were so horrific to each other. And I like stopped the car and I was like, you need to stop. Like, if you have nothing nice to say, like, why are you breaking each other down? Like, you're just like trying to make them feel like crap. Like, just,
Right.
it's like 8 in the morning. Like,
Everyone
can we
just be
just
quiet.
have like a nice, calm, zen morning? Like, why do you have to go in with like, horrific, like, hysterical screaming fights, like
Yeah.
yeah, it's
It's
good
so
times.
tricky. It's tricky. I think it's good to look at all of it being part of the process of discovering ourselves, because no matter how we're raised, there's going to be some things that kind of some sticking points where we just have a hard time getting past, or have maybe stayed with us and we're very self-conscious of now. So it is all such a journey of learning how to.
Absolutely. But, like, you got like, even think, okay, well, if the siblings are being awful to each other, like, there are some really awful people in this world, and they are going to encounter those humans. And like I'm trying to like look at it as when my three kids are fighting afterwards, like when they're calm, I'll be like, okay, I understand that, but did you, if you were being mean to so and so, like why did you have to say that back? Why did you have to like try to make them feel worse? Like next time, please walk away. Cause like we know, like if you're at a job and someone's just like so verbally abusive, you need to have those skills. I firmly believe our siblings allow us to have these skills of how to solve problems with mean people.
Yeah.
Cause yeah, but yeah, having those conversations and like afterwards, like, okay, what could you have done better? Definitely a learning curve. And that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
So there's some
Yes.
really crappy people in this world. So they need
Yeah,
to.
and no doubt they're gonna encounter people that are just straight up bad, people that they just don't mesh well with, that they
Mhm.
clash, that trigger them, that they trigger. So understanding how we can better support ourselves and our internal systems is a really powerful thing for sure.
Yeah, teaching our kids like nervous system regulation has been my goal for the last few years, especially with our world right now, like watching like all this mental health come to play with kids. Like if I don't know if it's the media that's making us more aware, or if it's actually I don't know if the stats are up. I didn't look, but it just feels like it's a lot more often with like kids with anxiety more and like major mental health issues, and it's so sad. And I just think that our next generation truly needs to learn how to regulate their nervous system.
Yeah, and in my experience, I've seen a lot of that is the intense overstimulation and access to other people's lives, obviously, with things online and stuff. It's really hard to ever have that space to breathe away from all the pressures.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I think we're definitely seeing that with children, some of the struggles they're facing, that it's so easy. Before, you just automatically had downtime. You had to be bored. Like, you didn't have,
Yes.
it's like, what are you going to do? Now it's so easy to check out and to get on a phone, get on a video game, get on
Mhm.
whatever device there is. And I think the tricky part is it feels like it calms your nervous system because you can let go of everything that's going on in your head and everything. But it's really not. It's just revamping all those emotions into different areas.
And it's like sweeping it under the rug. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
well, I just felt crappy at school. I had a really bad day. And then you're going to go and watch a show. So it's like encouraging our kids, well, why don't you go and color? Like do some, like my kids are older now. So like we do the really hard, like adult paint by number. So that's more of like a challenge where you sit down. They're really into, have you ever heard of like, it's like diamond art? Yeah. So that I get like the really challenging ones and they just sit there and do it. I'll just put it on the table. So like trying to encourage kids at any age. Well, what do you want to do? My little guy, he's 10, obsessed with hockey. Go play mini sticks downstairs. Put on music, go play mini sticks instead of just watching your shows for a bit if you had a rough day. You know, going back to the basics. Cause like when I was little, my parents would be like, go outside, like come back when the street lights come on. Right. And like learning just to like be friends with all the neighbors and run around your street and just have fun and like no cares. Right.
Yeah. And I think those activities, like you were talking about, that are not totally mindless, but allow us to have respite in our minds,
Mm-hmm.
like the painting or diamonds art, those can really be a place where we can release some of that emotion and lean into it. We're not covering it up. It's just we're not focusing on it, letting it move through being in a different moment.
It's so important. And like learning your kids or and ourselves, like I'll sit and do the stuff with the girls, like they like more of the crafty stuff, but my little guy does too. He's really into I don't know if you can see this, but I buy this instead of Lego because he's past the Lego. It's I think it's like Connects or something.
Oh,
It's more
yeah.
like a challenging one. So like he'll sit and do that because he's 10. So yeah, like finding different things, but like I enjoy it too.
Yeah.
Right? It's like stuff adults wouldn't do, but like if you sit down with your kids and like do them, it's actually enjoyable. It's something
Yeah.
different. It takes your brain off of stuff too and allows you to move through emotions and
Yeah.
yeah,
And it's
it's
funny
wonderful.
because, yeah, we talk about the kids a lot, but as adults, we're just as susceptible. Maybe slightly less. Our brains are a little more developed, But certainly the addictive nature of the online world can be something that affects us, something that is then dominoing down to our
100%.
kids. Very easy for us to go like, I'm overwhelmed, overstimulated. I'm just going to check out for a minute, read the news, look at a social media page instead of doing some of those restorative practices.
Yeah. And we need to remind ourselves that, like, if we don't do them, our kids aren't going to do them.
Talk to us a little bit more about developing your intuition. With chaos, with the overwhelm, the pressure that we feel, how that can be tamped down.
Yeah. Well, our brains can't access anything other than survival mode if we are that maxed out. Like, we cannot tap into intuition if we're in survival mode. Our brain and our bodies shut down certain aspects of itself in order for it to survive in the present moment with the only things it needs to survive, if that makes sense. So all the extra stuff, like the positive feelings, the deep conversations, the problem solving, the connecting, the love, the intuition, like none of that is really that possible when you're really in survival mode, especially if you're in a freeze state. A lot of people don't even know that they're in a freeze state. But my whole family comes from England area, and our whole family's intuitive. And when I was hitting rock bottom, I've always been intuitive as a child. I've always had dreams that have come true. I've always had thoughts pop up before they actually happened in real life. And so I started to tap into that when I hit rock bottom a few like years ago, on my journey of learning meditation. It really was interesting to harness that new side of my mind and my subconscious, and learning how to utilize it in coaching. Like, for example, we just went through a bit of trauma in the fall. It took some time to get here, but we had to deal with some stuff, me and the kiddos, and I lost all intuition. Like, I even told all of my clients, like, I can't book you for intuitive calls. Like, it's literally not there. I can't even tap into it. It was so bizarre because I talk about it often, about how we can't tap into things, like even like gut feelings and stuff like that, or other people's, like, I can't pick up on your energy or read your emotions when I'm like that. And and then it was happening to me. And it was crazy. It was such a weird feeling because I've always been intuitive, and that side of my brain just completely shut down for about 2 months.
Is that intuition something that you think everyone can build or grow?
Absolutely. I feel that our society and our environments make us have closed minds. If you watch children who are very whimsical and very like open-minded and magical, like kids can be so magical at a young age, but then they get influenced. So everyone, if you can relearn that magical side of you, that whimsical side of you, of like being in the present moment. And like, I talk about this with my clients. Like, do you hear the wind when you're walking? Can you look ahead on a walk and hear those trees and those leaves moving in the background? Like, how present are you? Do you feel the grass on your feet? Like, do you feel the sun warmth on a certain part of your body when you're out and about? How present are you? Because if you can't even like pause to hear that butterfly that just went by, then how are you going to tap into your intuition? You block it. Everyone blocks it due to our influences. And that could be our partners, our family, our friend group. Maybe they don't believe in that side of things. So, yeah, it depends on how interested you are at a soul level in getting that back, and what practices you want to incorporate into your daily life to get that back.
Yeah. I think it is important to remember that we do all have access to some deeper wisdom, to some access to our internal feelings that are free without all the stimulation of the world around us, that can really work to serve as a guide of the next steps we need to take, the specific challenges we have in our life, and how we can best face them. So I love that some of those steps you gave are really just slow down,
Hmm.
observe the world, use your other senses, and how that can open up that space for us to have that inspiration, our intuition to speak to us, that deeper wisdom.
And that's a really good strategy too that I teach my clients in terms of if you're feeling overwhelmed, if your chest is tight, if you're like not, if you like notice that you're doing deep breaths kind of randomly to instead of like your calm, regular breathing, or you just feel like you're on edge or you're snapping at people, like do that stuff. What can you hear? Like you can even be in an office. You don't have to be outside. Like what do you hear? Do you hear it? Like you have to like focus because it's like quiet. It's the quiet stuff in the back. Do you see that thing flashing back there? I always say to my clients, go to the washroom and close the door and either close your eyes or fixate on the tap and put one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly and feel your heart rate. Like that's such like a soul like womb natural calming thing at a human level, and put your other hand on your belly and do your belly breaths, like the deep breaths, and do that for a minute and watch your whole nervous system calm. It's fascinating. It's so simple, but it's ancient behavior. It's stuff that our society forgot about, but it's basic human calming techniques.
Yeah, and it's interesting because we alluded a little bit to the mental health crisis that we're seeing, which
Mhm.
is very prevalent in the world today. And one thing that is also very prevalent is the noise of the world. It's never quiet. You can literally be in spaces where there is always noise if that's what you wanting. You know, you can be on your phone, leave the TV on, always have that noise to drown that out. And it's easier to have that noise, I think, than to find those quiet spaces sometimes in our world. So how important to just find quiet, really.
Yeah, and that's why I say the bathroom because like even if you're a stay-at-home parent or you work from home, like every time you go to the bathroom, stop in there and do that with the door closed. Like it kind of just makes your zone focused, right? And if you're at work or whatever, like every time you go to the bathroom and do that practice, you don't even have to be on edge to do that practice. It just resets you for a little while, and it's wild how easy it is, but it's such a natural human instinct to do. Breath and heart rate.
Yeah. And that quiet space, we almost have to build it into our routines now because otherwise it'll be really easy to not have those resets, even if we haven't reached a crisis point.
Yeah. And that's why I say the bathroom because, I mean, your kids can be around you, your partner, wherever you are, but your bathroom, that's private. So at least, like, that's what I tell all my clients. If you can't get away anywhere, like, even your kids know, like, kind of depends how young they are. Mommy's in the
At some point
bathroom. Leave
they
me
will
alone.
learn. Yeah. That's so true.
Yeah, I mean, my kids would like come and like sit on my knee and like I'm like, "Okay, like 1
Yeah.
minute."
Or they're just right outside the door waiting.
Yeah. I used to see like the fingers or like toys get try to pushed under the door.
Yeah.
I'm like, just
Make sure we
stop.
don't forget that they're there. Yeah. Any other healing strategies that we haven't covered?
I really like to use the technique humming. Pick your favorite song and hum the song, and it actually your brain can't do more than that at that time. So if you're struggling, if your brain's nonstop, if you just can't stop thinking, if you're on the go or you're stressed, hum your favorite song, but a song that you know the words to, because your brain then has to think of the lyrics as you're humming. It is a huge strategy that can pull you out of a busy mind and a stressful state, and anyone can hum.
Yeah. And also a really good information for people to have that really your brain can only focus on one thing. Sometimes we think it can do more because we're jumping between things. But if we can, I mean, great strategy, focus on the lyrics of a song and humming the song or something like that, where our brain is occupied and pulled out of the ruminating or the panic areas or the places where we're just mentally torturing ourselves because we just keep thinking the worst or reliving bad experiences we have. So super great strategy, something you can do anywhere. I love that one.
Yeah, I love humming. We all hum over here.
That's beautiful. Can you tell everybody where they can find you, what services you offer, all the good things?
Yeah, so I offer either one-time sessions where you can just learn some tips or tricks or get some guidance and intuitive insight on a certain situation, past, present, future. Or you can work with me directly. I like to do 12 weeks. You get a video or phone call once a week, and then you get 24/7 chat access to me privately. That helps you in the moments of triggers. And if you're just having an off moment, I can actually guide you directly in that moment through our chat access. And it's been probably the most healing for all my clients is that option. And I only take on X amount of clients at a time for that, but I do have a couple spots right now. But that fills the gaps in terms of healing, is being able to reach out in the moment of a hard moment and working through that. Yeah, you can find me. I built a little landing page. So when you go to my website, you can just type your name and email and what you would like to discuss, and I'll reach out to you personally and you get a free chat with me. And yeah, we can go from there. So that is at my website, www.hailey-coleman.com.
Beautiful. And yeah, what a great resources, because that is often the time you need help, is in those really intense moments where you just need some guidance. You're not sure what to do. Very good resource for people to potentially have access to.
Thanks.
Well, Hailey, thank you so much for being here, for sharing your story, for sharing the things that you learned. Those stories, I think, are really powerful to hear, that other people have been through some really hard things and found a way through it and to a better place. When you're in those really dark, difficult times, it can be hard to hang on to hope. So I really appreciate when people are willing to share their stories, and especially the things they learned and the strategies that they've been able to incorporate to help make their life better.
Thank you. It just takes somebody to start talking, and hopefully it has this trickle effect with helping others, right?
Thank you for joining us and learning about horses that heal and the humans who help them. We hope you'll continue with us on this journey. We'd love for you to subscribe on your favorite platform and follow The Touch of a Mustang on any of the major social media outlets. Please share with your friends, anyone who loves horses, or anyone who might be struggling and could benefit from this message. If you have felt the healing power of horses or help them in their divinely appointed mission, please reach out. We want to hear your story. As we say goodbye, always remember that the horse is always there to help you heal.